Live from New Delhi, you're watching the India NewsHour, India's voice to the world, with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi about to reach Croatia on third leg of his three-nation visit, first visit of Indian Prime Minister since 1991 to hold bilateral talks on issues of mutual interests. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds telephonic conversation with US President Donald Trump, discusses Pahalgam terror attack, Operation Sindoor at length. President Trump accepts Prime Minister Modi's invite to visit India. India reiterates there was no third-party mediation that paused its offensive against Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. Prime Minister Modi sets record straight with President Trump, says India does not support third-party mediation in its matters. Israel-Iran conflict enters its sixth day. Trump calls for Iran's unconditional surrender. Iranian leader Khamenei says Iran will show Israel no mercy. Good evening to all the viewers joining us at this evening broadcast. To begin with the latest, US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke over a 35 minutes phone call today, which was made on the request from the US's side. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed the media about the phone conversation. The call began with Prime Minister Narendra Modi giving details of Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor to President Trump. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that no mediation or trade deal were discussed on the understanding on cessation of hostilities with Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. President Donald Trump expressed his support towards India's fight against terrorism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi stated that India no longer views terrorism as a proxy war, but as a war itself, and that India's Operation Sindoor is still ongoing.
मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि इस पूरे घटनाक्रम के दौरान कभी भी किसी भी स्तर पर भारत अमेरिका ट्रेड डील या अमेरिका द्वारा भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच मध्यस्थता जैसे विषयों पर बात नहीं हुई थी। सैन्य कार्रवाई रोकने की बात सीधे भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच दोनों सेनाओं की एग्जिस्टिंग चैनल्स के माध्यम से हुई थी और पाकिस्तान के ही आग्रह पर हुई थी। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने जोर देकर कहा कि भारत ने न तो कभी मध्यस्थता स्वीकार की थी, न करता है और न ही कभी करेगा। इस विषय पर भारत में पूर्ण रूप से राजनीतिक एकमत है।
The two leaders also spoke about Russia-Ukraine and the Israel-Iran conflicts. Foreign Secretary added that President Trump asked Prime Minister Narendra Modi if he could visit the US on his return from Canada. However, the Prime Minister expressed inability, citing prior programs.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने इजराइल-ईरान के बीच चल रहे संघर्ष पर भी चर्चा की। रूस-यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट पर दोनों ने सहमति जताई कि जल्द से जल्द शांति के लिए दोनों पक्षों में सीधी बातचीत आवश्यक है और इसके लिए प्रयास करते रहना चाहिए।
Further, for the next Quad meeting, Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited President Donald Trump to visit India, which he has accepted.
इंडो-पैसिफिक क्षेत्र के संबंध में दोनों नेताओं ने अपने परिप्रेक्ष्य साझा किए और इस क्षेत्र में क्वाड की अहम भूमिका के प्रति समर्थन जताया। क्वाड की अगली बैठक के लिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को भारत यात्रा का निमंत्रण दिया। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने निमंत्रण स्वीकार करते हुए कहा कि वे भारत आने के लिए उत्सुक हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has concluded a productive Canada visit where he participated in the G7 Canada summit. He thanked the leaders and Canadian people along with the government for hosting a successful G7 summit that witnessed fruitful discussions on diversified global issues. Prime Minister said that India remains committed to furthering global peace, prosperity and sustainability. Other leaders of Australia, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, Ukraine and heads of international organizations like United Nations, World Bank convened for a collective commitment to addressing global challenges and promoting common values. France will host the next G7 Leaders Summit at the Alpine Spa resort town of Evian-les-Bains. Bordering Switzerland on the shores of Lake Geneva, Evian already hosted the G7 back in the year 2003. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the 51st G7 Leaders Summit in Canada, complimenting the counterparts and the government for successfully hosting the summit. Both the leaders held discussions on a wide range of issues. In a joint remark, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India has kept the foundation in G20 for global good and it should be taken forward at G7 too. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India and Canada are connected by a strong belief in democracy, freedom and rule of law. And both the leaders are looking forward to working closely to add momentum to the India-Canada friendship in areas like trade, energy, space, clean energy, critical minerals, fertilizers and more offer immense potential in this regard.
पिछले दिनों G20 समिट की अध्यक्षता के रूप में भारत ने विश्व के लिए अनेक उपकारक ऐसे इनिशिएटिव लिए हैं। आज G7 के अंदर G20 में भारत ने जो मजबूत नींव रखी है उसको एक प्रकार से नए स्वरूप में G7 में उसके एग्जीक्यूशन की दिशा में ले जाने में एक बहुत बड़ा अवसर है और भारत इस अवसर का उपयोग ग्लोबल गुड के लिए करने के लिए हमेशा इच्छुक रहा है, आगे भी इच्छुक रहेगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India and Canada's relations are very important in very many ways. Many Canadian companies have investments in India and the people of India also have a huge investment on Canadian soil.
मूल्यों को समर्पित कनाडा और भारत मिलकर के लोकतंत्र को मजबूत करना होगा, मानवता को मजबूत करना होगा, हमारे रिसोर्सेज का ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन कर करके मानव जात के कल्याण के काम में कैसे ला सकते हैं उस दिशा में हम प्रयास करते रहेंगे। और मुझे विश्वास है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के चुनाव के बाद मुझे पहली बार मिलने का मौका मिला है, तो इस चुनाव के भव्य विजय के लिए भी मैं उनको बधाई देता हूं और आने वाले कालखंड में उनके साथ भारत और कनाडा मिलकर के अनेक क्षेत्रों में प्रगति करेंगे।
Canadian Prime Minister said that India's presence at the G7 summit is a testament to the importance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. He added that Canada stands with India in fight against terrorism.
It's a great honor to host you at the G7. India has been coming to the G7, I believe, since 2018 in Biarritz with our French partners, and it's a testament to the importance of your country, to your leadership, and to the importance of the issues that we look to tackle together, from energy security, from the energy transition that you're helping to lead, to the future of artificial intelligence, to the fight that we have against transnational repression, against terrorism, against...
Well, Canada and India have agreed to restore high commissioners in both the countries. The announcement came after the two leaders met on the sidelines of the G7 summit. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that these steps will boost India and Canada's tie. He further added that the other areas of discussions between the two leaders included artificial intelligence, critical minerals and trade.
The Prime Ministers agreed to take calibrated steps to restore stability to this very important relationship. And the first of these steps that was agreed on was to restore High Commissioners to each other's capitals at an early date. Other diplomatic steps will follow in due course. The two Prime Ministers also agreed to resume senior and working level mechanisms and discussions in a host of areas related to trade, to people contact and connectivity, all of them intended to bring greater momentum to the relationship.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a series of bilateral meetings with his global counterparts on the margins of the G7 summit, with discussions focusing on bilateral ties, regional and global issues. Here's a report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded a productive visit to Canada, where he participated in the G7 Outreach Summit. Reaffirming India's commitment to strengthening global partnerships, Prime Minister Modi met various world leaders on G7 margins and discussed bilateral ties. Strengthening India-Canada ties, PM Modi met Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney with a strong handshake. Both leaders then sat down for a fruitful meeting and agreed to deepen cooperation in key areas such as trade, energy, space, critical minerals, fertilizers, and more. PM Modi shared a warm handshake and a brief conversation with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, showcasing India's strong bonds with Italy for the greater benefit of the people of both countries. In a firm handshake with President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a fruitful discussion with the EU chief. A friendly handshake followed by a warm hug highlighted the close India-France relations. Prime Minister Modi met French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the G7 summit as well. Both exchanged views and thoughts on a wide range of topics. The Prime Minister reiterated India and France will continue to work closely for the well-being of our planet. PM Modi held an exceptional conversation with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The friendly gesture by the UK Prime Minister while meeting PM Modi reaffirmed the growing ties between the two nations. India and the United Kingdom covered areas like trade and commerce. In a first, Prime Minister also engaged in talks with newly appointed German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Discussions were held on further advancing the partnership. Aiming to advance India-Mexico ties, PM Modi met the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo in Canada. The two leaders deliberated on enhancing cooperation in areas of trade, investment, startups, innovation, pharmaceuticals, science and technology, automotive sector, and to promote people-to-people exchanges. Extending India's unwavering commitment towards the global South nations, PM Modi held meetings with President of South Africa Cyril Ramaphosa and Brazilian President Lula da Silva. The leaders met to build a better tomorrow for the coming generations.
Apart from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's intervention at the G7 summit, his bilateral meetings were important. He met with G7 leaders, Amritpal Singh for DD India in Kananaskis, Canada.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to arrive in Croatia, marking a historic and strategically significant visit that underscores India's deepening engagement with Central and Eastern Europe. DD India's Jessica Taneja sent us this report from Zagreb. Take a look.
Coming on the heels of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's participation in the G7 summit, the engagements in Zagreb will extend beyond traditional bilateral pleasantries and serve as a strategic exploration of how Croatia fits into India's expanding European vision. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's arrival in Croatia marks a significant milestone. It will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister since this Adriatic nation gained independence in 1991. And as India and the European Union seek to conclude a potential free trade agreement before this year ends, partners like Croatia not only provide critical leverage, but also important logistical pathways. Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to hold bilateral discussions with Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković and also meet President Zoran Milanović. These discussions are expected to cover a wide range of topics and present a vital opportunity to broaden bilateral cooperation across various sectors, including trade, innovation, defense, ports, shipping, science and technology, cultural exchanges, as well as workforce mobility. Croatia, an EU and NATO member, offers political stability and a growing economy. With 2.9% GDP growth in the first quarter that has often outpaced the EU average, it holds significant cultural and strategic relevance that resonates in New Delhi. Its consistent support for India's aspiration for a permanent seat at the UNSC and its advocacy for India's membership in the Nuclear Suppliers Group are valued. Discussions will likely address cooperation in international forums on shared challenges such as climate change, counter-terrorism, and regional stability. The visit also highlights the importance of strengthening people-to-people contacts and cultural ties. Building on centuries-old cultural links, the University of Zagreb, with its historic Center for Indology and increasing Indian cultural influence in Croatia through various initiatives, underscores the existing cultural connections. Over the past decade, India's engagement with the continent has expanded significantly beyond its historical focus on major Western European economies. This visit is not an isolated event, but an integral component of India's evolving and increasingly nuanced approach to European diplomacy. Jessica Taneja for DD India in Zagreb, Croatia.
Students studying Indology at the University of Zagreb in Croatia expressed their happiness on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the country. DD India's Jessica Taneja interacted with them. Let's take a listen.
We have with us a few Croatian students who have been studying Hindi at the University of Zagreb. They have a dedicated department of Indology. In fact, this course and curriculum has been part of the university since 60 years, and these students have taken up a course for 4 years. Let's speak to a few of them and try and understand what they've been studying and what all have they learned. Thank you for speaking to DD India. I believe that you've been learning Hindi. Could you tell us about what all you've learned so far and how has it helped you?
हिंदी सीखती हूँ बहुत समय से पहले और बहुत मददगार था क्योंकि अब काम भी मिला तो हिंदी में बात करती हूँ हर रोज़ और भारतीय लोगों के साथ हूँ हर दिन तो ये विश्वविद्यालय इंडोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट बहुत अच्छी बात ही मेरे लिए और सीखना भी नहीं चाहती थी तब उसी समय तो ये मेरी इच्छा बिल्कुल नहीं थी और अब आज यहाँ हूँ और काम मिला हिंदी के कारण तो मैं बहुत संतुष्ट हूँ।
आप हिंदी क्यों सीख रही हैं? आपको ऐसा क्या इंटरेस्टिंग लगा हिंदी के बारे में? आपको किसने बताया हिंदी के बारे में? आपका इंटरेस्ट कैसे बना हिंदी सीखने में?
हिंदी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है लेकिन also my colleagues can speak more about Hindi, but I also want to talk about the culture and the history since I'm also a PhD student of Indology and there are many connections through history between India and Croatia, so we are really honored that this is first time that Prime Minister is coming here.
What is it that you're studying? You said you're studying about the cultural ties. Tell us a bit about your curriculum. What is exactly that you're studying right now?
So my PhD thesis is actually about one Croatian priest that was in India, in Kerala, in 18th century. So he wrote a beautiful book about India, where it is one of the first documents where it was described the culture and the religion of India, and we are also very proud that he was Croatian. Yes, it's great that he wrote about culture, and also because he was missionary priest, he really wrote nice things, and he understood Hinduism actually.
I want to improve my Hindi, but I'm also interested in history, Indian history, culture, and we also learn Sanskrit in our department. And I want to learn a lot of things, including like yoga practice.
What about Sanskrit? What are you learning particularly about it?
We learn about Vedas and we translate texts like Mahabharata or Ramayana.
What are you studying at the Department of Indology? Culture, Sanskrit or Hindi? What is it that you're
Also, I'm studying all of that, but I'm most interested in Sanskrit, especially the Ramayana.
As you heard from all the students here of the University of Zagreb, who are part of the Department of Indology, learning Hindi, Sanskrit, the Indian literary texts, and also talking about the culture and the promotion of the Indian culture here in Croatia, as India and Croatia ties dated back to many years ago. This department has been in existence for more than 60 years and it continues to gain relevance in today's day and age as well. This is Jessica Taneja with video journalist Ajit for DD India in Zagreb.
And the Croatian Kathak dancers are practicing with great enthusiasm. They will perform at an event in Croatia to celebrate Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit.
We love very much Indian culture, Indian classical music, and a lot of our dance are classical, not only Bollywood or folkloric as well, but classical Kathak, classical Odissi and Bharatanatyam. We are the best in Kathak.
I've been practicing Kathak and other Indian dances for
about 8 years, and I really love Kathak and Indian classical music as well.
I love Bollywood. I love very much expression. I love to transfer my emotions to the audience.
And now let's take a look here at the glimpses of how the Kathak dancers practiced. So the mood is really upbeat there in Croatia to welcome Prime Minister Modi. Well, PM Modi's visit to Croatia aims at establishing a far more robust and diversified economic partnership with the European Union member. DD India's Jessica spoke with Indian Ambassador to Croatia, Arun Goyal, about the expectations from the bilateral engagements.
That's India's Ambassador to Croatia, Arun Goyal. Thank you for speaking to DD India and taking out time for us. This will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Croatia since it gained independence in 1991. Tell us about the importance of this visit and what all can we expect.
Jessica, we need to go slightly older history. First Croatian kingdom was set up in 925 AD by King Tomislav. Thereafter, the Croatians got their own nation in 1991. So they have a history of a dream not being fulfilled for more than 1,050 years. Today there are 3.8 million Croatians in Croatia, and slightly more than that, 4 million Croatians are across the world, be it US, Germany, Australia, everywhere. They are a very closely knit community. Their dream, the aspiration, got fulfilled in 1991. Now this is the first visit by Indian Prime Minister to Croatia. So this is being eagerly looked forward to by Croatians both within Croatia and outside Croatia. So in the world order, which is undergoing profound change at this moment, of course they are a member of EU. They are looking forward to be on the global stage, and visit by Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi helps them to project themselves to be on the global stage and of importance. So that's the way Croatians look at it.
And what are the discussions that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have with his counterparts, the Croatian Prime Minister, and as well as with the President? What can you tell us about that?
See, we have very warm and cordial relationship with Croatia. But first visit by Prime Minister of India to Croatia puts Balkans in a different perspective of high importance in the India's foreign policy. This, I'm sure, is going to put India-Croatia relations on a different trajectory. So when the two leaders meet, they have one-to-one talk. It's not merely what is on agenda today, but more will flow out of it when that bond starts happening. So we should be looking forward to a very productive exchange of not merely the goods and services, but of high-tech personnel in the decades to come. Because Croatia has done more innovations as compared to their size, and Indian manpower is also, as you know, world respected. So we are having, for example, an agreement. There's going to be a program of cooperation in the field of science and technology. Croatians have been eagerly looking forward to it. So this will set the two countries' existing science technology systems, materials, information, the personnel, which will have exchange of young researchers thereafter. Similarly, in the field of agriculture, the agreement which is likely to be signed, that is going to bring the research and development in agriculture and allied fields. 30 fields approximately have been enumerated, where there will be close exchange of materials, research, information and personnel.
Right. And as you tell us about the engagements that are planned, an interesting turn of events as well. Before this year ends, India and the European Union are expected to finalize a free trade agreement. And Croatia, being both a NATO and an EU member, is quite an important and a vital partner when it comes to various sectors of cooperation. How do you see Croatia playing an important role when it comes to India-EU FTA, and where does it fit in the picture?
Croatia is a member of EU, also Eurozone and Schengen. So visit by Honorable Prime Minister and the interaction between the two leaders is going to help us find a reliable partner in the EU, and will help India to push the FTA with EU faster and more meaningful. So after all, when you are negotiating, you need friends. So this is going to be, I'm sure this is going to be a very good asset. When both the leaders meet, they talk to each other, they have the bonding. So we'll have a strong partner in Croatia, in EU.
Right, and we also noticed that the University of Zagreb has a Department of Indology. There are a lot of cultural exchanges as well. The relevance of Sanskrit also can be seen in Croatia. What more can we expect in terms of cultural ties between the two nations? We know that yoga is quite popular here as well. What all have you seen that has been so popular when it comes to Indian culture and our other exchanges? What can you tell us about that?
See, if we look at the exchange between the people of Croatia and people of India, it goes back many centuries. Around 1530 to 1540, what we know as Dubrovnik, in the local language, in Latin it's Ragusa. So they had a town, Sobras, in Goa. So there were 12,000 people there in 16th century. And in 1560s, they built a church in the name of Saint Braz. It's just the Saint Blaise, who is known as the protector of Dubrovnik. Thereafter, in the 18th century, a Croat missionary, Carmelite missionary, he produced first book on Sanskrit grammar. That was the period when Europeans had developed interest in Indian culture, and Sanskrit language being the main, as you know, of the Indian culture. So they were looking at the linkages amongst European languages and with the Indian language with Sanskrit, so which led to the saying of Indo-European group of languages. So the exchange of culture, the mutual respect for each other is centuries old. It's in that continuation we should be seeing the popularity of yoga here in Croatia. So as on today, about 10,000 Croatians practice yoga almost daily. There are 250 yoga studios, and there are about 25 Ayurvedic studios. There are restaurants, high-end restaurants, which are serving plant-based food. I recently went to Brach Island. There in Bol, there's a high-end plant-based restaurant, and these people who are into Ayurvedic food, they have immense love and respect for Indian culture. They have visited India many times, and they are our true ambassadors here.
Thank you for summing the relationship between India and Croatia for us. Well, you heard from Ambassador Goyal, the relation between India and Croatia dates back to many centuries. And as the Prime Minister is set to arrive in Croatia, there'll be more that we get for you from the city of Zagreb. This is Jessica Taneja for DD India in Zagreb.
Time to take a short break, but we'll still to come on the other side. Up next, we'll get you the latest news and updates on upcoming weather predictions by the IMD. Indian Embassy in Tel Aviv issues advisory for nationals in Israel to stay vigilant and follow safety protocols. Anti-ICE protests continue in Los Angeles County as dozens of people took to the streets of Pico Rivera.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching the India NewsHour. It's now time to quickly recap the top headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi en route to Croatia on third leg of his three-nation visit, first visit of the Indian Prime Minister since the year 1991 to hold bilateral talks on issues of mutual interests. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds telephonic conversation with US President Donald Trump, discusses Pahalgam terror attack, Operation Sindoor at length. President Trump accepts Prime Minister Modi's invite to visit India. India reiterates there was no third-party mediation that paused its offensive against Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. Prime Minister Modi sets records straight with President Donald Trump, says India does not support third-party mediations in its matter. Israel-Iran conflict enters day 6th. Trump calls for Iran's unconditional surrender. Iranian leader Khamenei says Iran will show Israel no mercy. In a transformative move towards hassle-free highway travel, Minister of Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari on Wednesday announced a FASTag-based annual pass priced at 3,000 rupees for hassle-free highway travel. This will be effective from the 15th of August this year, valid for 1 year from the date of activation or up to 200 trips, whichever comes first. This pass is exclusively for non-commercial private vehicles, including cars, jeeps and vans. The annual pass aims to facilitate seamless and cost-effective travel across national highways throughout the country. And now let's get you weather updates. Indian Meteorological Department has predicted intense weather activity across various regions of the country in the coming days. The Weather Department has predicted moderate to heavy rain accompanied by lightning and thunderstorms in the national capital on Wednesday night. Traffic disruptions and potential delays to flights and trains could also take place. Residents have been advised to stay indoors and avoid non-essential travel. Heavy rain lashed parts of Maharashtra's Mumbai on Wednesday. IMD has also forecasted cloudy sky with more rain in the city for Thursday as well. Meanwhile, Kerala witnessed severe waterlogging on Wednesday in Kottayam following incessant rain in the city. According to IMD, eastern and central part of India, including Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand and Odisha, are all set to witness heavy to very heavy rainfall accompanied with thunderstorm, lightning and gusty winds during the 18th till the 21st of June. And to get you more on this, I am joined by DD India correspondent from Mumbai, Shyama Mishra. Good evening, Shyama. Amidst the changing weather patterns across the country, what is the latest that you are tracking from Mumbai for us?
Well, Deepika, in Mumbai and in the rest of Maharashtra, we are definitely seeing some respite from the weather gods, because we did see that starting this week, there was heavy downpour. But today and since yesterday evening, we are seeing a little bit of respite. and we are also witnessing intermittent rain showers. But yes, the intensity which we were witnessing in Ratnagiri, Raigad, these areas, that has definitely reduced. And but these areas, Ratnagiri, Raigad, Thane, Palghar, Ghats of Pune and Ghats of Satara, they are still on orange alert. They've been given an orange alert warning from the weather department. That means these areas will receive heavy to very heavy rainfalls, and in some places it will be likely to have thunderstorms as well. For Mumbai, for rest of places, we are seeing that there's a yellow alert issued. That means there can be a chance of high heavy rainfall at some places, at some isolated places. But yes, the rest of the place in Mumbai, we are seeing that there is no issue, there is no problem, which we did see like 2 days back, because heavy downpour coupled with traffic snarls and traffic woes, it did create problems for Mumbaikars. But today it's all in place, and even the traffic situation is quite better. The railway services are also running on time, and everything is fine in Mumbai. Also, the good news over here is that the lakes that supply water to Mumbai and the nearby areas, which are Tulsi, Bhatsa, Upper Vaitarna, Middle Vaitarna and other lakes, their capacity is also increasing, which is also a good news, because we did see that the lake percentage, the capacity percentage that had just because before of this monsoon, that had really been concerning, and it would affect the water supply of Mumbai and nearby areas. But yes, due to the rainfall in catchment areas, this particular water percentage is increasing, and which is also a good news for Mumbai. Apart from that, Powai Lake, which supplies non-potable water to the industrial areas, that has started overflowing today morning, which is also a good news. So overall, monsoons have gotten a cheer. Monsoons have brought a cheer, because the temperatures have also come down here in Mumbai between 27 to 29 degrees, sometimes 30 degrees. But yes, it has brought respite from the increased temperatures, from the increased humidity, and Mumbaikars are also praying that there should be rain, but definitely it should be not something that we would be witnessing heavy, and also coupled with high tide. So yes, Mumbaikars would want rains, but yes, not with the high tide, and it should be intermittent.
So currently a time to enjoy for the Mumbaikars. Thank you so much, Shama, for joining us and bringing us the latest straight from Mumbai on weather updates. Moving on. India commissioned its first anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft INS Arnala at the Naval Dockyard in Visakhapatnam today. The ceremony was presided over by the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, and attended by the top naval officials. Built under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, or the Self-Reliant India initiative, INS Arnala is designed for surveillance, search and rescue missions and coastal defence. With advanced weapons and sensors, this 77.6-metre warship marks a major boost to India's naval strength, reinforcing its position in the strategically vital Indian Ocean region. With over 80% indigenous content, these ships reflect India's growing self-reliance in shipbuilding and defence technology. The induction of INS Arnala, the first of 16 indigenous ASW SWC ships, marks a pivotal moment for the Indian Navy. In a tribute to the soldiers who sacrificed their lives during Galwan conflict, the Indian Army successfully completed a high-altitude mountaineering expedition to Mount Shahi Kangri and Mount Silver Peak. Flagged off on the 28th of May this year, the ambitious mission concluded on the 18th of June under the leadership of Lieutenant General Hitesh Phalla, General Officer Commanding of the Fire and Fury Corps. Comprising 28 highly skilled personnel trained in ice and rock craft, the team demonstrated exceptional endurance and technical prowess in high-altitude mountaineering. The expedition was also a push to boost border area tourism in Ladakh, demonstrating the immense potential of the region for adventure enthusiasts. Now, left-wing extremism has long been one of India's most serious internal security challenges. However, in recent times, things have improved as the Indian government has successfully tackled and weakened several fronts of left-wing extremism, or LWE. Through our multi-dimensional countermeasures, the government has transformed the red zones of LWE into growth corridors, bringing left-wing extremism, primarily comprising Naxalists and Maoists, to an all-time record low. Now, left-wing extremism has been a major concern for the Indian government for many decades, but the government now eyes total eradication of left extremism by March 2026. The government's twin strategy of security and development have helped weaken Maoist grip over the years. Red Corridor has shrunk from 126 districts to just 38 districts. And now LWE violence dropped by 81% since 2010 incidents of attacks that fell from 1,936 to 374 in 15 years. Also, civilian and security deaths are down by 85% in a decade. 85% of Maoist cadre in Chhattisgarh have been neutralized. Buddha Pahad in Jharkhand and Chakrabandha in Bihar have now been declared Naxal-free. Over 8,000 LWEs have surrendered in the past decade. 16,000 plus kilometers of roads have also been built to connect tribal villages affected by LWE. More than 10,000 mobile towers have also improved communication and connectivity in once LWE affected areas. 178 Eklavya schools have been established to uplift tribal education in LWE areas. And not only this, 302 new security camps and 68 helipads have been built in 5 years. 221 fortified police stations have also been constructed since the year 2014. And CRPF and Joint Task Forces have also tightened anti-Naxal operations, which is 400% rise has also been seen in development budget for LWE areas since 2014. Now, Maoist control area has shrunk from 18,000 to 4,200 square kilometer. And centre's decisive battle against left-wing extremism is fast moving towards fruition with a firm commitment to ending LWE by 2026. Moving on. The Indian Embassy in Tel Aviv has issued an advisory for nationals in Israel to stay vigilant and follow safety protocols. In the advisory, it is said that Indians intending to leave should use land crossings and register with the embassy for assistance. The Embassy of India has also activated its helpline numbers 24/7 to provide assistance to the Indian nationals. Now, those needing help or information, they can call at +972 54 7520 711, +972 543 278392. They can also reach at cons1.telaviv@mea.gov.in. In addition, Indian nationals who remain in Israel and have not yet registered with the embassy have been strongly urged to do so immediately via the registration portal Indian Embassy indembassyisrael.gov.in/Indian_national_reg. Now, Israel-Iran conflict has entered its 6th day on Wednesday. While the US President Donald Trump demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, Iran's leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issued a stern warning of a strong response to Israel, in his own words, vowed to show the Zionists no mercy. Here's a report that tells you more. Take a look.
Flames and smoke rose from a building in Tehran as the Israel-Iran conflict rages on. Israel-Iran conflict continues for the 6th straight day. The arch foes exchanged another round of overnight strikes. The Israeli military says that 2 barrages of missiles were launched in the first 2 hours of Wednesday morning. Explosions were heard over Tel Aviv. Israel's military earlier on Tuesday said it has struck Iran deep, hitting its nuclear, ballistic and command capabilities.
We've struck deep, hitting Iran's nuclear, ballistic and command capabilities. The Iranian regime has spent years getting closer to a nuclear weapon. They have spent billions building a ballistic missile program. Our mission is clear: to remove the threat at its source.
Israel has warned the residents in a southwestern area of Tehran to evacuate. Iran has claimed to have used hypersonic missiles against Israel. In a dramatic turn of events, US President Donald Trump demanded Iran's unconditional surrender. The US President insisted Washington has played no part in ally Israel's bombing campaign, but also warned Iran that his patience was wearing thin as the conflict entered a 6th day. Trump also met with the national security team in the White House over the worsening West Asia situation. While he has repeatedly vowed to avoid wading into the forever wars of the Middle East, Trump ordered the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier to the region along with a number of US military aircraft. US also shut its embassy in Jerusalem until Friday due to the security situation in the region. This includes the consular sections Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, Israel has begun flying home citizens stranded abroad by Iran conflict. First aircraft bringing home Israelis landed at Ben Gurion Airport on Wednesday. On the other hand, fearing violence, many residents of Tehran have also fled. On Tuesday, long queues stretched outside bakeries and petrol stations as people rushed to stock up on fuel and basic supplies. Shalini Puri's report, DD India.
Now, dozens of people took to the streets of Pico Rivera in Los Angeles County on Tuesday to protest ICE raids in California. The ICE raids have triggered protests in California. Protests in Los Angeles prompted Donald Trump to send National Guard troops and U.S. Marines into the city against the wishes of California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. Earlier, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass on Tuesday lifted a curfew imposed on part of the city's downtown to curb crime in the wake of raids on undocumented migrants that prompted protests. The curfew was initially implemented on the 10th of June in response to clashes between protesters and the police. Bass stated the curfew was successful in preventing crime and protecting businesses, residents and restaurants from vandalism. Thousands of Cambodians have joined a march organized by the state in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia. These marchers were supporting an ongoing border dispute with Thailand. The rally comes days after the officials held talks to ease tensions between the two neighbors, in which both of the sides pledged to continue dialogue. The dispute triggered by the death of a Cambodian soldier last month. On Wednesday, Cambodia's defense ministry said that Thailand had again violated its sovereignty. Thailand has increased activities in the area, including drone flights, trench digging and troop deployments along the border. Time to take a short break, but after the break, we will get you amazing visuals coming in from across the world on how yoga enthusiasts are gearing up for the upcoming International Day of Yoga. And in sports, Indian pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah reveals he did not take up Test captaincy because of workload management. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching the India NewsHour, and now let's get you all the latest from the world of business. US stocks ended lower on Tuesday as the Israel-Iran conflict raged on for a continuous sixth day. The Federal Reserve is expected to announce a monetary policy decision on Wednesday, although the policymakers are expected to leave rates unchanged. The S&P 500 lost 50 points to end at 5,983, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 180 points to 19,521. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also fell 299.29 points to 42,216. The US dollar wavered against most major currencies on Wednesday. European shares were also subdued on Wednesday ahead of the US Federal Reserve's monetary policy decision. Euro Stoxx 50 futures declined 0.34%, while DAX futures slid 0.54%. MSCI's broadest index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan fell 0.3%. Indian shares, after reversing early losses on Wednesday, tanked later. At close, the Nifty 50 was down 41 points to 24,812, and the BSE Sensex fell 139 points to 81,445. And the German economy has seen dark times over the past few years, and it seems more and more people understand that there is only one way out of the crisis, which is work hard. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Good evening, Lars. What can you tell us about the latest findings on labour?
Thanks for having me. Well, I can tell you that I was surprised myself. For years now, we've heard a lot about work-life balance, and often from the worst angles. It seems fewer people these days want to commit to a full work schedule like generations before them. That's young people coming out of school or university that are entering the job market with a certain sense of entitlement, often saying outright that they're looking for a 4-day work week or for a job that in some way allows them to spend a lot of time with their families. Now, I've spoken personally to HR managers who have told me that job applicants have asked right off the bat how often they would even have to be at work and how much of their work could be done from home. Some even have said, if I have to be at the office on Mondays and Fridays, then I don't want the job. Also, there was companies switching to 4-day work weeks to attract talent. I got to tell you, the more I heard such stories, the less hopeful I was for an economic recovery here. But now this new survey says that indeed many people are actually willing to work more. So there seems to be some hope after all.
And Lars, how come this trend was switching so quickly? Why are people really willing to work more?
Well, there's two reasons. One still has to do with a better work-life balance. About a third of respondents in that survey are saying they would be willing to work up to 10 hours, some even up to 12 hours a day on some days of the week. But of course, that means they might want to switch to a 4-day work week after all. But you know, working the same or even more hours just in fewer days. I guess this is actually the only way such a 4-day concept would actually work. And then there's obviously money as a strong argument for more work. People are saying that extra pay for longer hours would be a strong enough incentive for them to adapt to a more grueling schedule. And it's especially young people that seem to be willing to do just that.
All right, thank you so much, Lars, for joining us from Berlin and bringing us the latest on the business front. Moving on to sports now. Indian pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah on Tuesday broke silence on him not taking the Indian Test captaincy. The 31-year-old said that he was a captaincy choice for the BCCI selection committee but had to turn them down due to workload management. Bumrah shared he'd spoken to BCCI officials and the selectors about his workload even before Rohit and Kohli announced their Test retirements last month. He had to make the hard decision of letting the captaincy go as the doctors and physios advised him to be smart with his body to prolong his career. Bumrah has been struggling with injuries for quite some time and the BCCI made it clear that he will not be playing all the 5 Test matches in the upcoming series against England. Moving on, the Consulate General of India in Shanghai celebrated the 11th International Day of Yoga at the Lingshan Buddha Complex in Jiangsu Province on the 17th of June. Over 100 participants gathered to take part in the event, promoting yoga and cultural ties between India and China. Held at the serene Lingshan Buddha Complex, home to one of the world's largest bronze Buddha statue, the event featured a mass yoga session with asanas, pranayam and meditation focused on physical and mental well-being. Pratik Mathur, Consul General of India, and Venerable Master Vuk Singh, Chief Abbot of the Lingshan Buddha Temple, highlighted yoga's power to foster peace, compassion and unity. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll come back to you with the latest from Croatia. Thank you so much for joining us right now and watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.